Alright, just a quick video on the 2016 Nissan Versa. I got a couple of parts from the dealer. This is the oil filter for the transmission. So you can see that's the part number right there. Let me see. And this is all made in Japan. As you can see, this is what that tiny filter looks like. Man, this thing is tiny. There's a rubber grommet, if you will, on there, and there's metal side, so it's very small. Local auto parts don't have them, they have to order. Here is the o-ring for the outside metal piece. This goes on the outside of the transmission, and this is the gasket for the pan. I thought that was a rubber gasket, but it's not. It's actually a metal gasket. So if you look here, let me see if I can show you. Right there, it's actually a metal gasket. So that was something new. Here is the part number. So that one that's a pretty expensive gasket. It's like 49 and change, 49.50 or whatever, 47. So that was pretty expensive. As far as the filter, that's another 16, almost 17, 16 and change. And of course this o-ring as well. I have a whole bunch of o-rings, but this one seems a little different than the ones I have. So that's for just the oil, or what do you call it, the oil pan. And the counter person was nice enough, so he gave me this diagram, and as you can see, this is the gasket. This is where the filter goes on the outside of the engine. Let's see if it'll focus here. Come on. Right there. So this is the housing that you have to take off. That's the o-ring right there. So even though I said I wasn't gonna worry about the oil changes, I have to worry about it now, because all they did was change the oil. They didn't actually change all these other parts or took the pan out to check the inside and see what kind of debris, if any, we have in there. I did ask for a valve body diagram, because I wanted to see how many they have, and this is what they have. So as you can see, there's got maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. I was gonna get that, but I think we can clean this one here. It's not a filter, it's called a strainer. I kept calling it filter, but the filter is this one here. So that goes on the outside, strainer goes in the inside, but you do have to take the pan out in order to check everything down here before you can change the fluid. If you don't do that, it's kind of useless, because you don't know how bad your transmission is. And since we're having an issue where seems like something is clogged, whether it's the filter here or one of the solenoids, so this may have to come out to check it as well. We'll see depending on that. But even though they were nice enough to give me this, I did find a service bulletin online from, let me see here. As you can see, it's really thick. I mean, the good thing is that it is the correct one, 2013 to 2017 Sentra and Versa sedans. And this is not directly from Nissan, I'll tell you right now. So let me just sort of show you what it has. So I got the whole transmission here. This is basically a rebuild, or how to rebuild your transmission if it needs it. It tells you what to check on the actual belt. It is a metal belt. It's not a rubber belt like some people may think. These are metal belts, but that's the sort of items that you can check once the valve body is off. You can't check it with the valve body on. So that's kind of tricky, but it's something you gotta check. And let me show you. Here is the torque specs as well for the bolts. So that's kind of nice. This is the valve body, and I kind of already had this one, but I wanted to get the other one, see if they had anything better. But as you can see, it's just pretty much similar to that. It's just easier to see here. Everything else is the same, as you can see there. And let me see here. The good thing about this one is that, on the second page right here, they tell you what the checks are if you have noises and things like that. Since I don't have the service manual, but this one basically goes through that, and I'm gonna be doing that. So that is that for that, and this is what I want to show you here. So this is where you want to check, inspect inside CVT pan for any evidence or broken parts. So here they show you if you have just debris like this is normal. I mean, obviously that's a lot, but for the most part that's normal. But if you have actual chunks of metal like these pieces, then yeah, your transmission has to either be changed or rebuilt or whatever. But you can't do this unless you take the pan out. And depending on what this says, then you may want to take out the ball body and inspect that to make sure that it's not dirty in there, if it's just that or whatever. But I think this was from the National Transportation website that it came out of. So I did put the link to this service bulletin on my first 2016 Nissan Scan. That one's like 40 seconds. So look in there on the description. It's under there. You can get it yourself. And basically it walks you through the whole rebuild of the transmission as well, or if you need it. So I want to do that real quick. So you can see I've been doing some homework on this before I even touched the car. I already had some experiences with the transmissions because of the Rabbit. I did a lot of work on that, and then a lot of similarities with what's going on here. Even though this is a CVT transmission, a lot of things are similar. However, I have a feeling this may be good. I think this transmission may be good. It may just be either a solenoid or it's just really dirty. You know, I won't know for sure until I take it out, and that's why you have to do it. But I want to do some homework before I do any of that because I want to save some time. I don't want to keep doing it, put something on there and find out it's still acting up and so on and so forth, like I did with my Rabbit. Now I had that experience, so that was good. So I'm trying to just get it all done at once without having to go back in there one too many times, since the transmission seems fine for the most part. With that said, I hope that helps. I'm trying to think of what else to tell you on this, but this is pretty much the most useful part of it. They even go through the programming on the back for the dealership, but this is something that's public. You can get it, like I said, on that video. So I know that will help, but because of the experience with that transmission on the Rabbit, I know that the pan and all this has to come out, and then we'll go from there whether I need to go in here or not. I may not, because that looks fun, depending on how the solenoids are, because I don't know if I can access them without taking the whole thing out. It just depends on the actual component, but I won't know until I take the pan out. And so that's just something you have to do. There's no just put oil, take out the oil and put oil, and that's it. And I believe that's what was done. And this time we're gonna make sure that everything is good in there. And I'm gonna try and test those. I gotta check my battery, see if I can test those, each one of those at the same time, because you do have to test to make sure those are working and not stuck or a bad one there. And obviously if there's a bad one, you just gotta change it. But it is what it is. And for the most part, the whole car looks pretty fairly new. It doesn't even have 100,000 miles, which is kind of sad, but that's what it is. So that's my experience with the transmission so far, or at least this one. I did have some experience with the CVT before, or at least driving it on the Nissan Sentra. If you remember that car, I did some other work on it, and one time that belt kind of slipped on me. Um, so I know what that feels like versus this one. This one just seems to shut off and not actually spin. So it's a totally different feel for that. So that's why I think this one may be good. We may still have some life left, but I'm not sure yet until I open it up. And that's the other thing I almost forgot. When you do take out the valve, or yeah, the valve was the solenoid valves. That's the only way you can put a scope underneath it to actually check the belt. With this on, you can't check the belt, so this still has to come off in order to check the belt inside of the transmission. So just something else I learned, but you know, at least we're getting somewhere. So I hope that helps.